I think about this headline whenever the Barbie movie comes up, and I always just thought in the back of my mind, okay, maybe this is a sign of good things to come. And now that the film is officially in the theaters, well, we've kind of got the answer to this. In fact, it wasn't a clarion call in so much as, oh God, things will actually get a hell of a lot worse. And it's so weird, right? Because this is simultaneously, the most talked about film and also one of the most absurd marketing campaigns. Because, okay, at the end of the day, we're talking about a Barbie, a film about a plastic doll. Now, they've had straight to DVD releases for hell as long as I can remember. It's the quintessential toy. What exact story could you tell, and why would you want to couch it in feminism? Especially because, we're about, the 7 years past the event horizon when all of that stuff was just revealed to be not at all profitable and in fact a cancer for your product. So when the first trailer came out, I'm obviously not going to play it. It has some copyright music in it, but all you could see was, yeah, okay, you got the aesthetic right, at least sort of course, okay. A bunch of neon colors. You got Ryan Gosling's wonky ass eyes, okay. Margot Robbie cast instead of Amy Schumer, who's apparently supposed to be the titular Barbie, which, I think we all are far better off with this casting, for as much as I think that Margot Robbie is, whatever. Comparing her to Amy Schumer, well, that's just not fair. It's really not fair. So yeah, when the trailer came out in June, and maybe even before that, I don't know, it would have given today's day and age, there was probably a Super Bowl commercial for it, but everybody watched the trailer and thought, okay, cool, so this is just gonna kind of be a non-offensive film. It's got some likable-ish people that are in it. And then, when I started to cover it, all of the stars, everybody who's associated with it, like here's some people in the cast, America Ferrara, Kate McKinnon, which was like, oh no, if she's attached to this is not going to be good. Issa Rae, Rhea Perlman, Hari Neff. We heard from a bunch of those quote-unquote actresses that were attached to this, and definitely heavy asterisks on Hari Neff. That, maybe this is going to be laden with messaging. I didn't even cover everybody who came out and said something stupid around it. Simu Liu. Remember, he's a Marvel superhero, by the way. Which one? Yeah, it doesn't really much matter. Nobody remembers that film anyways. They were all saying some very questionable things. It's like, isn't this supposed to be like a kid's movie? I know that it's rated PG-13, but yeah, okay, this is supposed to be the big blockbuster, the big kids blockbuster film. In the same time frame that there's a Pixar movie that came out, but hey man, that went up like a fart in church, which we'll have to see what ends up tracking off of Barbie. But something else that was discussed as well was the big walk-off. There was a big walk-off by all the stars in support of the WGA and SAG-AFTRA Hollywood strike, and they're all gonna stand in solidarity because we can't lose out on such great Hollywood productions like this. So, because there were other red carpet releases around the world for this film, they decided to invite some of the best among us, and we have, I'm not going to play any sound, hopefully not going to play any sound. So we got that. I have no idea what that is supposed to be. This is taking place in Madrid, by the way. There are other people. Okay, so she's whipping her hair around, I guess. Okay, weird, but whatever. Okay, and then we got this chick with a broken neck or a collarbone because she's wearing a halo. I have no idea. Sorry, I can't enlarge this any further. It's just the way that it is. Oh, I guess I could if I wanted to, but realistically, I think we have enough cancer in our life anyways. But yeah, nothing inherently wrong with that, I guess, so far. And then you have this disaster area. Like, what the actual fuck is going on? Okay, it's like, why did you invite a meth head with a grill down to Barbie? But that's, I guess, your own decision. Oh, and look at that. Amy Schumer actually got a role after all. So that was what was going down at the red carpet in Madrid, and it was definitely an echo of things to come, because now that the reviews are coming in, yeah, the critics that were always going to love this stuff, like, they already loved it before it even released, but now that some of the opinions are coming out, and this is the one mass media opinion that I'll look at very, very briefly, but I'm more interested in the people that went down to the theater, that subjected themselves to this torture. Hearing some of the plot points in this film really spurned me to do this video because, okay, if it was just, kind of brain dead, kind of just had its standard fare of overt feminism, it would just be hilarious to see a collapse at the box office. But I heard some plot points and it's like, wow, this right here could be the most feminist film. It could be the most intersectional, man-hating film since Ghostbusters 2016. The way that they openly deride and hate men, weaponize feminism, this is something that we haven't seen in a very long time. We've seen the support of films that don't take a political stance, that just simply engage and entertain the audience, have done exceedingly well. Tomorrow I'll have something on The Sound of Freedom, which just crested $100 million at the box office. Nobody could have foreseen that type of response to that. The media can go ahead and slander it as much as they want and hire their pedos to write glowing hit pieces for it, but like I said, more on that tomorrow. Mission Impossible having incredible legs. The Mario movie from earlier this year becoming the first billion-dollar film in the box office for 2023, and then compare and contrast that with all the tripe that Marvel is pushing out and just showing you that this whole intersectionalist agenda doesn't really fly anymore. You've pushed people too far. And then to just take it out of the Hollywood scenario and the Hollywood confines, you got Jason Aldean's backlash, you got Target's backlash, the Bud Light situation. People are done with this type of stuff, and they saved the best for last, according to the reviewers. I don't really need to hear this guy's recap of things, but the way that he points this out, okay, I think that is very, very telling. Ingeniously, the year-long barrage of Mattel propaganda was foisted upon us and created a resistance and futile summer of Barbie before anyone knew if the movie was any good. There were pop-up cafes, a Forever 21 clothing collaboration, a viral Instagram filters galore, and then also that very much astroturfed, oh, look at Margot Robbie. Somebody on Twitter said that Margot Robbie was mid. I think if you just run that back deep enough, you'll probably figure it out that it was an intern at Warner Brothers who probably started all that stuff up. Because Margot Robbie was always going to be the selling point of fathers taking their kids out to the weekend to maybe see this stuff. But this is the first time in a long time where I'm going to tell you, based on the plot summaries that I have read, don't take your kids to this, okay? I don't normally like to prescribe anything. I like to give you guys the facts, and hopefully you'll come to the same conclusion. But my understanding of this situation is, this sounds horrendous. This sounds like the most hate-filled, malicious, vile, and vindictive film that might have ever been put to screens. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic, because shout out to Sean Semenko. I've seen a bunch of different, Robert Barnes, expert lawyer, somebody who I shout out very often when it comes to political and legal matters when I cover them on the channel. He's been going ham over the past couple of days in deriding this film. I know he has a daughter. I don't know if she's of the age where, taking her to a Barbie film would be somehow up their alley, but the way that he's been tweeting about it kind of tipped me off to how bad this film was. And then somebody else who I've made mention before, who I think does exceptional work as well, Shad from Shadiversity. He does quite a bit of media critique. I thought that he did exceptional work covering the Daily Wire Steven Crowder debacle from earlier this year as well. He was being quite animated about this, and as I'm still a little bit under the weather, the voice seems to be holding up a little bit. I won't be quite as animated, but this right here, when I was reading it, it was definitely making me a little bit heated. So let's see here. It's an 18-post thread, at least, with a bunch of different commentary on it. So without further ado, let's get in this. Barbie hates men and hates Barbie. It's the worst movie I've seen since the feminist reboot of Ghostbusters in 2016. Now, I seen this thread, and I seen that it was a detailed breakdown of the plot. I didn't realize that he also made the connection with Ghostbusters, so great minds, all that stuff. It's insanely preachy and direct with its message. Men are bad and women are good. I'll elaborate. Yeah, that's the general takeaway of this stuff. The way that everything's set up, it's unironically a tale of how the matriarchy is preferred. The patriarchy is this evil, sexist organization that permeates the entire world. Because, spoilers, this film starts in the world of Barbie and then ends up breaking out into the real world where it's all just run by these turbo sexist men. What is going on? It makes absolutely no sense. The opening scene is symbolic of the very point of the movie, deconstructing Barbie, which is the the fuck? Okay. In a 2001 A Space Odyssey parody. See, that could actually be funny, okay? You know, Barbie is just shown as being this beacon. Yeah, you can see all the kids that are around. Probably not a single black kid that's around, because if it's analogous to 2001 A Space Odyssey, it's chimps around the obelisk, but it would be incidentally based if they did that. But yes, we shall continue. 2001 A Space Odyssey parody. Young girls smash dolls as a giant Barbie appears. Then the movie establishes its characters, setting, and feminist tropes. And it's actually even worse than that, because like it said in the post right here, okay, they're smashing dolls as a giant Barbie appears. Those dolls, by the way, are little baby dolls. Apparently, those are the only dolls that kids, little girls could play with when they're growing up. So the moment that Barbie appears, little girls taking their baby dolls and bashing their heads in on the rocks, chanting, we are not mothers." That's your opening scene. Was just waiting for Dr. Barbie, a trans, yes, we've talked about that before, to openly perform abortions in the film. Yeah, no, exactly. You take baby doll heads and you smash them against the ground, like the apes in 2001 were banging sticks on the ground. I don't really know about that. Okay. There are two worlds with two sets of characters. Barbie Land, Barbie and Kens, and real world humans, almost all men. Alright. Basically, Barbie Land is a feminist utopia and the real world is a patriarchy reality. Get it? Because it's called the real world. Yeah. And the Barbie Land is this perfect matriarchal utopia where you can just go ahead and lay around all day. And unironically, all of the Kens are their servants. Which should just go to show you just how fucking stupid. Like, how would any of that shit have gotten built? Did it just arrive out of the ground? If all you're doing is just lounging around all day while you just unironically have slaves walking around, how is this matriarchy supposed to be self-sustaining? And how is it any different? Or how is it any better than the analogous real world? What the fuck, man? And the movie quickly starts unpacking more feminist tropes. A montage at the beginning shows Barbies in every position of power. They're presidents, CEO, Nobel Prize winners, construction workers. They're perfect and none of them are bad. Yeah, see, this has to be a work of fiction. Meanwhile, the Kens do literally nothing but simp for the Barbies. That's it. That's why they don't take any of them seriously. That they're just simply... they're slaves, because simping and simps never prosper. The only good man in the movie isn't even a Ken. He's a dopey, effeminate, bumbling beta named Alan. Why you gotta do that? All in the end, he hopes Barbie saves all the Barbies from patriarchal brainwashing. And of course, it's got to be the chinless Michael Cera. Is that who the Alan character is? Alan. All the women, the Barbies, are good, and almost all of the men, the Kens and the humans, are bad. It's literally that black and white, and that's what I'm hearing from a bunch of different reviews. There's no nuance or complexity to any of the characters in both worlds. Of course, all of the men in the real world are sexist, mean, stupid, and full of toxic masculinity. When Barbie travels from Barbie Land to the real world, she goes to jail for punching a man who slaps her butt in public, because that happens all the time in the real world. Well, yeah, you assault somebody, you go to jail, but depending on which country you're from, if you're over in the UK, if you catcall somebody, you could be going to jail. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but apparently... in this interpretation of the real world, it happens all the time. When Barbie and Ken arrive at Mattel HQ, it's all run by, you guessed it, men, specifically all straight white men. Well, yeah, of course, man. But don't worry, there's one woman there. The secretary. Dun, dun, dun. The Mattel CEO, Will Ferrell, makes stupid and unfunny jokes. Well, it is Will Ferrell, after all. About the patriarchy and how capitalism is bad before trying to ship Barbie back to Barbie Land. Barbie flees with Ferrell and his goons chasing her like bumbling idiots. Yeah, no, that all seems to make sense. Oh, see, there's one black guy in the back. He's probably the best skater that's out there. Who comes to the rescue? A strong Hispanic woman. Of course, at some point, the Hispanic savior goes to a random minute-long rant about how men set unfair standards for women. Are you having a fucking laugh, you unself-aware fuckers? As the most overt feminist part of the movie. Memes will be made of it. Oh my, I could only imagine. At this point, I had completely checked out. Somehow, the Kens take over Barbie Land, and it turns into an oppressive, patriarchal dystopia. Barbie and the Hispanic savior break the Barbies of their patriarchal conditioning by interrogating them with feminist logic. As the plot meanders to a resolution, Barbie unites all of the Barbies and overthrows the Ken patriarchy. Not physically, of course. Well, no, it's probably this film, so of course they're all just, 110-pound super badasses, except for Chunky Monkey in the back, probably not. Kens are all demoted to second-class citizens and now can only occupy lower positions. Fantastic. So when the women are in charge, whenever they have an upper hand, they become terrible in any situations that they get. Oh, okay, cool. Maybe this is fairly accurate. Finally, Barbie leaves Ken to get a corporate job in the real world. Yes, of course, because they just hand them out like that. So after all of that, what's the message? Women are good, men are bad. Feminism is good, masculinity is bad. Again, I'm not exaggerating or reading into the movie. It literally says this all the time, sometimes word for word. Yo! Holy shit, man. Moreover, the movie hates the very thing it's about, Barbie. Instead of celebrating femininity, beauty, and all of the strengths of women that Barbie represents, it deconstructs Barbie. Yes, and just makes her a dude with tits. Which is so fucking dumb, man. You can make a compelling female character that isn't just an overreaction to your mental disconnect with how the world works. If you think that you're being oppressed all the time, when in actuality women have far more rights and privileges than men do in today's day and age, and especially in Hollywood, where the moment that you even just turn on the waterworks for a second, an entire office building can get fired at the drop of a hat. But of course, as is pointed out, what makes women special, nah man, that's old school thinking, that's, ancient ideas. Women can do anything that a man can do, and they can do it in heels. Which is the overt messaging of this nonsense. In the beginning, Margot Robbie, stereotypical Barbie, as she's called, what? Okay, is peak femininity. She's beautiful, warm, and caring. In the end, she's a strong, independent woman who leaves Ken to climb the corpo ladder and smash the patriarchy. Fantastic. Fast-tracking herself onto a life of a handful of pills, a box of wine, and as many cats as you can stand. Fantastic. She don't need no man. Of course, this movie is trying to tell the young girls watching, leave your boyfriend, be ugly, work a soulless corporation, and you'll be happy. Good women are men, good men are women. If women ran everything, the world would be perfect. We don't need men. None of these messages are inspiring, empowering, and making any sense. It's the silly, low IQ, preachy feminist garbage that normal people can't stand. The only message people will get is feminism is cancer. His Barbie trying to help Andrew Tate's to pay Andrew Tate's bills. Well, this right here, once the message starts to spread, and just waiting on the backlash afterwards from the script writers and from the studios to immediately start to call everybody who criticizes this film to dirty misogynists when you're just openly so misandrist in your own film. The moment that happens, oh yeah, Barbie 2023 is easily going to replace Ghostbusters 2016. Like, this is going to be the go-to. And yeah, Tate's not even going to know that this shit dick film exists. But don't worry, there are normal quality movies showing this summer. You don't have to be lectured by rabid feminists from Hollywood to go see Oppenheimer. Again, okay. Seems to be good things about that one, at least in some of the reviews that are out there. I'm not going to go watch it. It's like 3 hours of your life you'll never get back. Mission Impossible, it'll be very interesting to see because apparently it was making more money on its first Monday and Tuesday, but we don't have any updates. It's second, sorry, Monday and Tuesday. I guess that would have been the Tuesday opening. Then it made in its first day, her day open, so it just goes to show that the film is definitely a success. And as for Sound of Freedom, kind of goes without saying, but more detail on that one tomorrow. So that about does it for the Barbie recap. I'd imagine there are going to be hit pieces on this one. There is going to be such an amazing amount of backlash. I don't normally tell you guys not to do something or to specifically do something. All I do is provide the facts and you can decide for yourself, but I will actively take a role and say, don't take anybody to go see this, especially not the children that it's intended to market it to, because they just have an evil message, a hateful message. And ideas like this can be best taught a lesson by not showing up and engaging with them. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.